Thanks for joining us, Tim.
Great pleasure to be with you.
Moscow announced it's withdrawing troops, but we're still waiting to see how big a de-escalation that's going to be. The conflict in eastern Ukraine has been going on for years now. What kind of withdrawal can we reasonably expect?
It's very hard to answer. The Russians have troops on all sides of Ukraine. They have deployments in the south, in Crimea, where they're currently drilling amphibious operations. They have a large deployment on the eastern border. And obviously also in the north, they're currently carrying out joint exercises with their Belarusian allies. So exactly where these troops are being withdrawn from, Belarus apparently is the most logical conclusion. But even if they all go, Ukraine is still in a very precarious position with all the troops on their eastern border and also to the south. So even if they withdraw all the soldiers from Ukraine's northern borders, Ukraine is still not in a particularly safe position. Its southeast and its south coast are still going to be very much threatened, regrettably.
Right. So quite a few different sides are covered there, really, of the country.
Very much so. And Ukraine's military is well trained, well equipped, in part thanks to the UK's recent donations of anti-tank weapons and anti-air supplies. They know what's coming. They have faced it all before, but they can't be everywhere at once. So if Russia is threatening from several sides, they can easily just attack where the Ukrainian line is going to be weakest. So it's still, although this is a positive step, of course, withdrawal of any troops from Ukraine, but I think it's a bit too early to be saying this is it's all blown over and everything is back to a relatively peaceful status quo.
It seems Germany's role in this drama is somewhat different from other nations. They're not providing the arms. They're not taking quite the brash approach that you'd expect from America, really. Is that the German character, or are there some other reasons for that?
It can be the German character and both. I mean, you've seen several times over recent weeks and months that there is what some outlets are describing Russophilia in Germany, whether that's because of terror of what would happen if Russia decided not to cooperate with its energy resources, or if it is the residual guilt over World War II. Obviously, Angela Merkel has apologized numerous times to the Russian people on behalf of their German forefathers. It can be both. I think that Germany is in far more of a pacifist nation than it has been historically. And this is seen even in things in their military's rules of engagement. In Afghanistan, they were once famously described by a British Army officer as an aggressive camping organization. So I think there is a genuine desire in the German character for peace, but at the same time, I think you can fairly accuse them of self-interest where their own economic and energy security is concerned.
Right, one of which obviously being the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Today, Joseph Borrell said that won't go ahead if Russia does invade Ukraine, or if there's a war between Russia and Ukraine. Is that something Putin is willing to sacrifice, do you think?
It still remains to be seen, I think. I mean, we still don't know exactly what sort of operation and how large Putin's going to launch, if indeed he is going to launch one. It would be a big blow to the Russians if that did come to pass. But at the same time, I think we can fairly accuse the West of inactivity in this part of the world over recent years. Russia knows what it can get away with. Joe Biden, of course, a few weeks ago said that there would be massive economic penalties if Russia did launch an invasion, but a minor incursion wouldn't incur such penalties. So Putin will be scaling the odds. I think at this point, the Russians are not casualty averse. There have been protests in Russia over the years when they have taken losses, both in Ukraine and in Syria, and this is going to bolster the Russian opposition, which is still a potent political force, even with Alexei Navalny behind bars. They cannot afford to take massive military casualties, and they know the Ukrainians are ready for them. So I think it's also important to remember that Russian propaganda domestically is very powerful and cannot be underestimated. The Russian people are not being presented with the facts the way that people in other nations are. So if they are told that the West has encouraged this war, that it's the West who's rattling the saber, and it's Putin's deployment which has caused them to back down, that will probably be believed. And to be fair to the West, it's in a difficult position because in responding to Russian provocations, by sending more troops into NATO nations, by supplying the Ukrainian military with anti-tank missiles and anti-air assets, they are playing into Russia's narrative. The Russians are very, very good at making sure that whatever situation they find themselves in, Putin's government will still appear favourable to their own people.
Tim Ogden, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.